For those of you who say, why me? Always me. Well, I want you to know that it's not always you. Well, I was waiting for the wife to come home from doing some shopping. And while I was waiting, I was going to put this trunk mount onto the hood of my van with a little stinger in it, because I was going to use this for a VHF marine radio, as I said in an earlier video. And in order to put the steel in it, all you need is a piece of stainless steel. Excuse me, stainless steel. You need nothing fancy. But in order for me to do that, I needed to find the right size adapter that I wanted to use. I have one, I just see which one I wanted to use. So I found one like this, but without the Allen screw in it. I said, well, you know what, I got plenty of time. So instead of using this one with the Allen screw, the one that I have that has no Allen screw, I'll see if I can just find an Allen screw for it. Well, I had no luck finding an Allen screw, so what I did was I just retapped it to a different size, and I put a screw in it. So that worked. However, oh, there it is. So now all I got to do is I'll take the screw out, I'll put a nut on it up to the head, because I don't need a lot of depth. I'll cut the screw, take the nut off, keep the thread safe, and then at that point I have something here and I can use. So in the interim of doing this, the wife came home from shopping. I gave her a hand bringing things in. And well, as long as she's home and the day wasn't too bad, the other property that we have on the other side of the fence, which is approximately 200 yards from where I'm at right now, maybe a little bit more, I wanted to get down in there with the tractor. Now, in order to get down there with the tractor, it's a little bit of a chore because of the 5 boys. They like to go wherever I am. And even though I have a gate, you know, the thing is I'd have to leave the gate open long enough to drive the tractor through, which I couldn't do this unless I locked the boys up in the house or in the kennel, which is 100 better yards the opposite direction. So now that the wife's home, she can bring the boys into the house for a minute. I can open the gate, get the tractor onto the other property, close the gate, and then she can let them out because she's going to be in the yard with them, so they're not going to try to get over the fence to where I am, down in the other property, which is not fenced in. Because if they're not in the fence, they'll just want to go. You know, Whippy, we're free. You know, all new scents, all new ground to smell, you know. Smelling ground, not paying attention as to where it's taking them. They're just gone. So I get the tractor down there and I start cleaning up, you know, 5-foot high weeds, trees that have grown over the last 2 years, because I haven't been down there about 2 years, you know, as far as cleaning it up. I've cleaned it up a couple of times, but I failed to put any commercial weed killer down there to stop it from coming back. There's a thing that guys around here, they call it, I forgot what they call it now, Agent Orange. It's a commercial brand stuff that you need. You need an arborist license to buy it. So I figured, well, let me buy a couple gallons of that. It's not cheap. However, a couple $100. It's cheaper than me going down there constantly with this tractor and running over weeds and digging it up and doing whatever I got to do. Make a long story short, I'm down there with the tractor and I'm way out back. I'm way in the woods. I'm deep in the woods. You hear me, but you can't see me. That's how high these weeds and woods are. The only track that's there is the track that you've seen that I was making to get to where I wanted to start. So there was a little bit of opening in the middle. Well, in the interim of all this, I'm backing up. I'm on ground that's not flat or stable. Well, it's stable, but it's just not flat. It's, you know. And the next thing I know, I feel my right rear go down. Oh, I thought I'm backing into the hole. Wrong. My right rear wheel came off. Hello. Well, now what do? I am at least 200 yards away from any electricity. I don't have 200 yards of air line to run to get my air gun down there to start working on whatever it is I got to do. The jack part of it is not a big deal because I just use the backhoe to lift up the tractor. You know, you put the backhoe down, the tractor goes up, so that's not a big deal. So I use the backhoe to get that rear side up so that I can get the wheel out from under it before we cause any more damage. Got the wheel and tire off from underneath it. This was attached to the tire and wheel because the studs all snapped off inside the hub of the tractor. Now what was on there was something that well, this what was actually on there, this right here. However, it was longer. If you can imagine this nut, this part here, on here, that's basically what it is. Because this was another one. This is the only one that was kind of like holding a little bit until it let loose so it didn't break. However, the stud came off it, no, the nut rather. But anyway, figure this on here, and that's what we had. Well, we ended up with nothing but 4 of these inside the hub on the tractor, and they were broke off even. Okay, now what do I gotta do? Hello. Well, usually if I have to move my generators around, I have a large generator that runs the whole house. That normally doesn't leave the area that it's in. It's in a containment area, all right, and it's ready to just be turned on, so I'm not going to disconnect all that. Actually, that's the one I put the battery in last year. And I have a small 2400 Yamaha, which would be more than enough to run one of my small air compressors. That would be just enough to use the air gun if I had to, and I was able to at least break whatever I had to break, the nuts, the studs, or whatever, by hand, and then use the air gun just to help do some work. The tire, with this on there, I'm not going to be able to get that up to here to get this off, because again, it's over 200 yards away. Most of it is all weeded and uphill till I get to the yard side, and then I have to roll it all over here. Well, the tire weighs over 200 pounds because it's got a filling in it. It's cool. It's filled with a liquid. So I'm not just going to roll this tire around either. So I'm really in a dilemma here. So I got the wheelbarrow, and at least I'm giving my heart and my lungs a good workout. Got the wheelbarrow, put the generator in the wheelbarrow. Put most of the tools that I thought I was going to need in the wheelbarrow. Put the air gun in the wheelbarrow. Ratchets, extensions in the wheelbarrow. Couple of extra air hoses because I do have a portable, you know, air compressor. Couldn't tell you what size it is, to be honest with you. It's not as big as the one I have under the thing here. It's probably 10 gallon or so, I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't always work all the time. Like, it doesn't always shut off. It'll blow the valve, and then that's when it shuts down. Then it will kick on. Anyway, to make a long story short, that's on wheels. So I use the wheelbarrow to get most of the things over there. Then I roll over the air compressor, and I leave everything on the upper side on this side of the fence. And I was able to run enough air line down through all the weeds and everything to the tractor, so that if I need it, it's down there. So I got to a point to where I was able to get, luckily, the studs out, which wasn't easy. Luckily though, I didn't have to drill them or tap them, you know, or get an easy out or anything like that. And then I went and I got this off the wheel. So then, when I took this off the wheel, I went to take these, which was holding the wheel to here, and I was going now put the wheel on the tractor directly. And as I'm doing that, I'm realizing something's wrong. Well, this was the wrong size, remember? This is the size they originally set me to put this on to the tractor, when in turn I really needed that size. So again, those are two different sizes, believe it or not. I don't know if you... Well, that's the right size. I'm sorry. Here we go. This is the original. So those are two different sizes, believe it or not. So this is not going to fit the tractor because that's what's made for the tractor. So now I have to track another 200 yards back to try to find the original John Deere tractor studs, which I found. Then track back. Now I got the wheel on. The tractor can work. It can move. One wheel is 2.5 inches or so in more than the other, which means this winter, till I get this fixed, I can't put the chains on because you got to have a spacer on in order to put the chains on, because it's got to clear the frame. So that's where I'm at. So now I got to hunt down the guy I bought them from and hope that he warranties it like he said he guaranteed it. Because when this all happened, I'll tell you a story before I bought them. A friend of mine used to own a custom van years ago. He had spacers on the back. I may have already said this. And a couple of times a year, it would just happen. And he kept them on there until the third time. He'd be driving along, and the rear wheel would just come off. The next thing you know, the ass end would drop. The drum shot. The wheel goes flying by you. And that's it. Because of the spacers. The spacers, after a while, would not tighten up, they would loosen up, and the next thing you know, the wheel is gone without any indication. Well, he finally decided to, okay, it's not safe after the third time, and he took them off. So, when I was talking to this guy advertises his stuff as he does work for stock cars, race cars, dragsters, off-road vehicles, all kinds of stuff, fast and slow. And he makes them for the John Deere. That was part of his list. So I said, well, I got the John Deere 2305. He said, I gotta make them. So I bought them. They cost me $400 and change for 4 of them. And he sends them to me, again, with the wrong studs. So in return, about a week later, I get the ones that I was showing you that he had made up. Basically, it was something like this. Well, actually, this is it exactly. All right, that's what he sent me. So this went down inside here, bolt it to the tractor, and then I use these to bolt the wheel to a spacer. Well, all these snapped off, right? So, but when I was talking to him, before I bought him, I was telling him the story of this friend of mine, and he says, no more. He said, everything is perfect fitted, everything's made for that. They're within microns of one another, and it's not going to happen. He guarantees it. Well, I'm going to see how his guarantee is, because he knew it was going on a tractor, and not a tractor that I'm just riding over, plush lawn with, cutting grass. He knows it's a working tractor. It's got a front loader on it, a backhoe. He knows how it's going to be using it to plow snow. He knows what a 2305 is, They're now the 3000 series, I think. I don't know what they call them now. But anyway, 4-wheel drive, lock-in hubs. I mean, he knows, and he knew I needed it because I'm putting chains on, so I can plow snow, and so I can get into different areas because I got a wider wheelbase now. Tractors tip over very easily, so you got to pay attention when you're on a tractor. So that's where I'm at. So I was finally able to get the wheel spacer off, get the wheel on, get the tractor at least up to the fence. It's still on the other property, but at least it's up to the fence and it's running, so I can use it now if I have to. Now I got to decide if I just want to leave it as is for now and finish doing what I'm doing in the clearing, and then get it over here and take the other wheel off. I checked it and it looks tight. However, I can't check this to the hub unless I take the wheel off, because I can't see. Now I raised it enough with the bucket to see if I could shake it, and it didn't appear to shake. So, I hate to assume. I hate using that word. I wish they'd take it out of the dictionary, out of the vocabulary. I wish they would treat that like the N word. Just get rid of it, because there's too much of that going on. However, we got to see what happens. So I got to dig it out, because he's also going to have to send me another spacer, because this part doesn't bother me, but that does. And it's not only just on the bottom, but it's also inside here. And for that reason, I don't feel comfortable with it. So I'm going to take pictures and send it to him. So for you guys and gals and all yous out there, oh, it only happens to me. What did I do? It happens to all of us. We all have our problems. Okay, guys, that's it for today. It's probably about 4:30. It is. It's 4:30. The wife is cooking dinner. We're going to have some turkey and stuffing. And as I told you earlier, up until last night, I wasn't sleeping very well because I ended up in the emergency room not being able to breathe. Well, I was breathing, but I didn't feel like I was breathing. And that is a panic mode. I continually had to tell myself that everything was okay, because you want to go into panic mode. You think you're not breathing. I mean, I was breathing. I just wasn't getting that breath, you know, that cleansing breath, that over the fence, over the hump breath, you know. And believe it or not, when you can't get that, it does start to take its toll. I did a video on it. I'll post it. All right, guys, enough for today. I'm gonna go in the house, eat some din din, take a pill, and relax, and maybe get this posted. And if I haven't replied to any of you guys, it's only because I've got tons of backup that I haven't had a chance to get to, only because the last couple of days I've just been very unstable in my sleep habits, and up and down, and I'm trying to stay out and active. But I'll get back to you guys. Didn't forget you.